It was you'll die. So I just didn't, maybe I missed something somewhere.
How could it be panim el panim and panai lo roisi? That you can't see my face.
You must have missed something.
And also, how did
Missing pasuk.
how did Rabbi Akiva not qualify as lo yirani adam?
Right. Okay, so we're all back right into the into the sugya here. Let me try to go over a couple of concepts and hopefully make it easier to understand instead of more difficult to understand. My tachlis here is not to make things complicated, because I'm not capable of understanding complicated things. So tachlis is to try to understand it simply. Just thinking about this on Shabbos, let me just share with you. The Chazal say, famous Chazal, maybe Rashi brings even part of it, that when Yisroi came to Matan Torah, sorry. When Yisroi came to Matan Torah, so one of the things he said was, Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem. Asher hoitzius b'nei Yisrael, me'eretz Mitzrayim. Baruch Hashem. Chazal say, it's in the Yalkut Shimoni, Yomer Yisroi Baruch Hashem V'shem Rapapus Amru Gnaihu LaMoshe U'Lashishim Riboy Shalai Amru Baruch Ad Shepasach Yisroi V'Amar Baruch Hashem. Amazing thing. Moshe Rabbeinu never said Baruch Hashem. Shishim Riboy never said Baruch Hashem. So he needed this guy from Midjan to come along and say Baruch Hashem. And then Chazal oddly go into Haroya Makim Shenasa by Nisim Yisrael. From Yisrael we learn apparently that if you come to a place that Nisim happened to Klal Yisrael, you come to the place where the Yam was split or something, and you know that that's the place. Omer, you should say Baruch She'asalav V'Seinu Nes B'Makim Hazeh. How do we know this? Amar Rav Achod Amar Krov Yomer Yisrael Baruch Hashem Asher Hitzei Al Nisa Derabim. That when it comes to a nest for the Ram, everyone has to say Baruch. How do we know it from? We know from Yisroi who said Baruch Hashem. So this is the Nakuda of Yisroi saying Baruch Hashem. Good kasha. Chazal pointed out it's a Gnaihu l'Moshe l'Shishim Riboy. Nobody seemed to be able. How hard is it to say Baruch Hashem? We say it all day, even when it's inappropriate.
We're telling how Moshe to set up the Sanhedrin, and that is also the same question. What do you mean?
Same question.
It took Yitro to tell him to do it?
Same question and same answer. I spoke about it on Shabbos.
Sorry, I missed it.
Yeah.
I got 10K walk.
There's no video, Baruch Hashem. The Nefesh Hachaim learned, could be this is the pshat. The Nefesh Hachaim learned that is explained to us in Shaar Beis what the union of Baruch is, what's the union of Bracha. And first he spent a lot of words explaining what it is not. And the Maskanas Hadvarim is that a Bracha is an act of connectivity, an act of connection between Hashem and this world. Pirush Hadvarim, as much as I can understand, is that Hashem is there, the world is here, and what's the connection between Hashem and the world? There has to be a connection because HaKadosh Baruch Hu made the world so that it should have a dira b'tachtonim. So if the world is the world and Hashem is the Shem, and the two, maybe we have a yediyah about HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but where's the connection? And the Nefesh Hachaim explained that the bracha, the lashon of bracha, lashon brecha, is the connection. When we say Baruch Atah Hashem Elokeinu Melech Haolam She'akol Niyeh B'Dvaroi, when we make that bracha, what we're saying really is that the Dvar Hashem came right down into this apple, or into this glass of water. And on a deeper level, he explained to us that Kadosh Baruch Hu is Ein Sof. So it's infinite, and infinite does not usually fit into something finite. How can you fit the infinite into the finite? So that's a big puzzle, the puzzle of Tzimtzum, which we've talked about, we'll talk about it more, but suffice it to say that it works. What works? What does it? Hashem Batz Moshe that goes into, Nefesh Hachaim speaks about this. Hashem Batz Moshe goes into the apple, or is it his koach that goes into the apple? The point is, for us simple people, the point is that there's a kasher. The kasher is called Yud Kei Vav Kei. The kasher is the Hashgacha Pratis that goes on. Hashem is involved in the world, whether he is the world, he's not the world. Hashem is involved in the world. So taking something ruchani or infinite and bringing it into the finite world, Gashmi, is what a bracha is. That's what a bracha is. A bracha is taking the infinite and bringing it into this world. That's the maskana of the Nefesh Hachaim. Baruch Atah Hashem. One second, I'm going to lose my train of thought. Baruch Atah Hashem. So we're talking about the area of connection. The ultimate connection was not Yetzias Mitzrayim, where you see the tremendous hashgacha pratis and the involvement of HaKadosh Baruch Hu into this world, and not even Kriyas Yamsuf, where you see a direct positive. It's not just an oynish, but you see direct positive. And important Kriyas Yamsuf is a pointing of the finger and a choosing of Bnei Yisrael. Your job, Bnei Yisrael, not the Mitzrim, they're gone. You're never going to see Mitzrim again. They're not mentioned again. Never. Your job is to bring the Shekhinah into this world. So to do the whole tachlis of the world. We're not talking about a side point. We're not talking about a footnote. We're talking about the whole thing, the whole purpose of the world. But where this came out the most was in Matan Torah. Because in Matan Torah, this mamish, the Dvar Hashem, came into this world. The connection between Shamayim and Va'aretz took place at Matan Torah in its greatest form, never before, never after. L'chayra, was there a time when the Shekhinah, with Kollel and Brakim and mamish, everybody heard Hashem say, Anochi Hashem Alikecha. There was never a greater manifestation of the connection of Shamayim Va'aretz. But how far down into this world was it able to come? So the Bnei Yisrael, we see in this parsha, I'm just chazering our parsha, and again in Parshas Veschanan, the Bnei Yisrael said, we hear, but we don't want to hear. We don't want to hear it anymore. We don't want to hear the whole thing. We don't want to hear Hashem talk anymore. We're all going to die. Lumasnu. We're going to die if Hashem keeps talking to us. You listen, you do that. You're the rabbi. You do that. Somebody's going to die. Let it be you. And you tell us klisheni. You tell us what he said, and we're there. We're there for you. The Achaba Yisrael, maybe I'm saying a possibility. Yisrael comes along and he says, let's get practical here, right? Yes, somebody just said, why did Moshe Rabbeinu think of this, right? Let's get practical. The reason Moshe Rabbeinu didn't think of it is because Moshe Rabbeinu wasn't practical. Moshe Rabbeinu was a himmelmensch. He was Bashamayim, and he was trying so hard, struggling to bring the Dvar Hashem into this world. That was a struggle. That struggle, according to the Mekubalim, would have been to see the Pnei Hashem. The Pnei Hashem, to see in this world the Pnei Hashem. Can I see the Pnei Hashem? Not just see the Hashgacha Pratis. That's seeing the back. Whoa! Look what he did in history. Look how he helped. Look at the Makkos. Look at the Kriyas Yamsuf. That's seeing the back of Hashem. That's looking at a story and saying that must have been Yad Hashem. But the Pnei Hashem is to be able to see HaKadosh Baruch Hu's manifestation of this world. Moshe Rabbeinu was begging for it, and Hashem said, "You're not there." Lo yirani ha'adam l'chai. Ad Sheba Yisrael. This is a pella. Ad Sheba Yisrael says, "Let's get practical over here. Let's divide the people. Sorry alafim, sorry mayos, sorry asarais. Practical. Moshe Rabbeinu practical? But what does practical mean? What does the word mean? The word means, let's put it into practice. The word means what Yisrael was coming along and was saying, let's bring that Dvar Hashem mamish to the people. Let's mamish bring it down to earth. Halacha. What's halacha? Like if you're a makubal, so like halacha is like, okay, wash up to here, wash up to there. No. Well, halacha, is a kazayis, not a kazayis, You can get on your nerves. If you're an esoteric person, it can get on your nerves. Like, is that what Hashem cares about? How much matzah I ate? If I ate this much, that much, measuring with a ruler? Is that what it's all about? The answer is yes. Because ultimately, we're trying to bring the infinite to the I don't want to say the lowest madrega because it's not a low madrega, but the most practical place that it could possibly be until we're measuring matzahs.
Malchus.
Malchus, that is Malchus.
For the field.
Malchus, like Malchus is in the details. You can quote me on that. It's when everything, it's like Lahavdil, like the president comes to a country, every detail of the importance of every detail. It's not like, okay, Baruch, let's give him some cover. Every detail, who stands where and what they stand and how they stand and what color the carpet is and where he walks and how he walks and how much. It's all Malchus. Malchus is when every detail is oisketsechent, it's choreographed to perfection. That's what Malchus is. What does it mean on a deep level? It means that this really came to not what's in our hearts, we like this king. No, this came to a very, very practical place. That's what halacha is. So, Gnai Huli Yisrael, says Chazal, Gnai Huli Yisrael, that nobody ever said a bracha. Bracha meaning the connection between the Ruchnius and the Gashmius, Hatshaba Yisrael V'Amar Baruch Hashem. I would cynically comment that Yisrael went through every Avodah Zarah in the world until he came to the Torah. What kind of a Meshuggah goes through every Avodah Zarah in the world? Why did Avodah Zarah go with it? The pshat probably is, again, I'm telling you my svara, that Avodah Zarah, what all Avodah Zarahs have in common is which piece of Gashmius should we worship? It's all about Gashmius. There's no Avodah Zarah which is worshiping something you can't touch, feel, or see. Whether it's the energy system within us, whether it's the Micha or the Baal, or whether you're worshiping mountains, it doesn't make any difference what you're worshiping. The point is, as the Rambam says, that I can't seem to fathom a human being. The theory is that a human being can't seem to fathom or worship something which is outside of his realm. I'm going to get something ruchani. So I got to find something gashmi which can be the lightning rod for ruchnius in this world. That's the whole bikush of Avodah Zarah. That's what it's all about. Such a big toast. And Yisrael went from Avodah Zarah to Avodah Zarah to Avodah Zarah to even become the master of Avodah Zarah. Went through all the Avodah Zarahs in the world, and nowhere do I see any of the infinite manifesting itself into the finite. This is what Avram Avinu was mechadash. That self called self, this is not God. Can't be. When he came to Mount Torah, okay, my son-in-law Moshe Rabbeinu, he's into this religion, let's try this religion. He came to Mount Torah. What did he see at Mount Torah? He saw the infinite literally gravitating to the ground. What do I need all the Avodah Zarah for? Hiniach es kol Avodah Zarah shabayla v'amar Baruch Hashem. Baruch Hashem is a bracha. Bracha is the connection between Ruchnius and Gashmius. And it's interesting what the Medrash says, not me, but the Medrash says that the Yisrael, maybe because of his history in Avodah Zarah, his past education, was somehow able to see that, look, what's going on over here, the Kollel Hashem, the Dvar Hashem, the Kollel Shabrakim on the mountains, that's all coming into this world. It's, by the way, Agav, and parenthetically, the Svarim say that there was no chance that the Luchos Rishonos could work. It's just something that had to be. So the Svarim say that so that we can get to the Luchos Shnius. There's no. The Gemara Shabbos also says something similar, that the Luchos Rishonos was too much noise and koilos and brachium, and the Luchos Shnius b'chashoinin. What was the purpose if they weren't going to work? What was the purpose of the first Maimon Har Sinai? The purpose was to show, that's the one that Yisro saw, right? To show how the Ruchnius can begin to manifest itself in the world of Gashmis, sort of come down for a landing. Can Nesher Yoyer Kinoi, like an eagle, Rashi says, Nageya ve'eino Nageya. Like the Nesher Yoyer Kinoi, no, it doesn't Nageya ve'eino Nageya. That's what Rashi says. It's kind of like a flirtation with the world that we live in. Do you understand how important this is? The importance is that if we can't, like if we're Bashamayim, it's not just like, like Judaism doesn't believe in hermits standing on top of a mountain and meditating. It's not just that we don't believe it, that's just silly words. What it means is that the whole point is that it has to come down to the Negelvasser. It has to come down to Babish, the halacha, because otherwise you don't have a dira bit tachtoinim. Tachtoinim tachas b'tachas. It has to come to the lowest place possible. And when you merge the lowest place and the highest place, then everything ruchnius, or everything gashmius, I should say, becomes ruchani. It all becomes Malid Bar Hashem, which, by the way, was the purpose of the Beis HaMikdash, the purpose of the Mishkan.
The Karbanos,
the Mishkan itself was, which was the toes. You could so easily understand the toes of the eagle. So easy to understand that, because it's when you're Hashem is manifesting Himself in this world. Where does it grab me? Where are you getting reception? So, like, here's the Bnei Yisrael running around with their cell phone trying to get reception. Klita, eagle. Eagle is a big thing. Like the eagle, as far as say, was the same thing that Yecheskel saw in the Bais Merkava. Let's have some kind of a makam chalois for the Shechina. You can understand the toes. But it was the basic toys of Avodah Zarah. To try to find a gashmi, we don't need to do that. It's just our lives have to be holy lives. That's all it is. So that's the pshat in Yisro saying Baruch Hashem, Lani Yisdaiti. It's also the pshat, as I said cynically, as to why only Yisro was looking for that, because he was an Ovid Avodah Zarah, and he understood that where it can and when it can't be chal, and he saw Har Sinai Boyer Kollel Bais, that Har Sinai there is a makam chalais.
So when according to the real Mandam Omer that says that Yisro came from
according to the Mandam Pashat of Shah,
according
to the Pashat of Shah, that he came from Mount Torah. He came to be Megayer, and he was Megayer by Yichad Yisroi, as the Medrash says here, by Yichad Yisroi. Yichad Yisroi, that he was Miyached Shem Hashem. By Yichad Yisroi Lashon Yachad, he was Miyached Shem Hashem.
Does this connect with the idea that this was a Gilgal of Kayin who invented Karbanos?
Who was the Gilgal? Yisroi.
Yisro.
Got me.
And the Shivrei Luchos, we're still in the Aron. What does that mean? Because that's all we could handle,
Yeah,
so to speak.
that's as far as we got with the Gashmias. And you know that the Svarim say that the first Luchos, and this gets me to the Reb Tzaddik that I want to finish going over with you. The first Luchos represent the Torah Shebiksav, and the second Luchos Torah Shebal. Okay, is that real? Is that real? So, just want to say Nakuda that Moshe Rabbeinu's struggle. And Moshe Rabbeinu so wanted to go into Eretz Yisrael, and he didn't go into Eretz Yisrael because Eretz Yisrael is the place, mamash, the place where Ruchnius and Gashmius, Ba'aretz. Maybe. He just couldn't come all the way down from the mountain. And you see, even after our Sinai, I don't want to have nightmares tonight because I'm criticizing Moshe Rabbeinu. Chas v'shalom. But you see that even after he came from Har Sinai, I was in the oil moyed, and Nasan al Panav Masva, he was wearing a mask. He became a holy man. Like I say, he started off in Egypt as working civil rights, but he became so holy once you see Vaydaber el Hashem ponim el ponim. But he couldn't see the Pnei Hashem means in this world. The Babasher Rebbe always had an expression at the end of every thing. He said, "Lamato me'asara tvachim, ba'agola didan." The Babasher Rebbe ended everything. Ba'agola didan. The pshat is that can we bring this all to a place of Gashmias? And it's a very dangerous place, by the way. It's very scary because once you bring HaKadosh Baruch Hu to Gashmias, you're already flirting with Avodah Zarah. I mean, so let's be real. What do we? And that's why the Gra and the Balatanya were fighting so much. I heard like from real Messiah in Brisk that the Gra recognized the kedusha of the tzimtzum of the Balatanya, but he was afraid of it. He didn't. It's too frightening to see this kind of kedusha manifest itself in this world. So they say that in Brisk. Because the Goin's Shita was, we're talking about Rabbi Akiva. Now, let's get to Rabbi Akiva for a second. So Reb Tzadok brings the Chazal, which I learned with you on Thursday, that Mashloi Hisig Moshe Rabbeinu Hisig Rabbi Akiva. A Pliyat Summa. Mashloi Hisig Moshe Rabbeinu Hisig Rabbi Akiva. It can't be that he was greater than Moshe Rabbeinu, because not in Nevuah he wasn't greater, because like Kam B'Yisrael, Moshe. There'll never be a Navi like Moshe Rabbeinu.
Wasn't Navi at all.
He wasn't a Navi at all. So the answer is for sure he wasn't greater in Nevuah. What was he greater in? So the Pshat and the Medrash say, the Mefarshim and Megal Amukais, others, they say that the Taich of the Medrash that he was greater in seeing the Pnei Hashem. So how could he see the Pnei Hashem? What did he see that Moshe Rabbeinu didn't see? Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva was a person. Moshe Rabbeinu, I don't know what he was, but Rabbi Akiva was a person, rabbi, great teacher, Bal Tshuva. See,
Moshe was an Ish Elokim.
Ish Elokim.
Pretty big thing.
So let's go back a little bit here, because Rabbi Akiva had Talmidim also, and it didn't always work, because he was flirting between a very, very delicate point to Rabbi Akiva. But the Pashat of Pshat in Rabbi Akiva is, and I'll explain to Rameir in a second. Try. The Pashat of Pshat in Rabbi Akiva was that he was able, he was more the Machadesh of Torah Shabbal Peh. Remember, I just said the Luchos Rishon is Torah Shabbat, Luchos Shniya is Torah Shabbal Peh. Torah Shabbal Peh is, just think about it for a minute and you'll see, I think you'll agree this is Pashat. The Torah Shabbal Peh, as much as we don't know, what we do know about Torah Shabbal Peh, is that it must filter through the person to be real. You know the halacha is that if you say the words of Chumash or Ma'aber Sedra and you don't understand the words, that Yesh Tvarim Bagad, you did something. You're saying the words of the Chumash. If you say the words of a Gemara and you don't understand a word of it, you've done nothing. You can't make a Birchas HaTorah on it. Because the whole Birchas HaTorah is on the Havana. Torah Shabbal Peh is all about Havana. What is Havana? Havana means how the Torah came through me. The Chafetz Chaim was often quoted as saying, I'm not impressed with how much Torah a person went through. I'm more impressed with how much the Torah went through him. The Chafetz Chaim. Meaning, the whole point of Torah Shabbal Peh is, what am I doing with the Torah? How am I integrating the Torah? So when you think about that, just very simple, the ultimate kesher between the world of Ruchnius and the world of Gashmius is Torah Shabbal Peh. Isn't that Pasha? Don't call it Torah Shabbat. Stop thinking about Shas for a minute. Think about the fact that if I can take a concept in the Torah and with a Kal V'chomer understand it deeper, if I could develop a pasuk in the Torah says Lo Yisaychal 3 times, Echad Isser Achila, Echad Isser Hana. If I can develop to the Torah to the point of halacha, so then what I'm doing is I'm bringing the Shechina. I'm saying Baruch Hashem. That's the bracha. I'm saying Baruch Hashem because what I'm doing is I'm bringing it down to a very practical place, just like Yisro did. You sit there, you sit over here. Let's get some. Let's divide up into teams over here. Very, very practical, Yisro. That's what Rabbi Akiva was able to do. In a way, Yisro got it more than Moshe in a certain sense. You see, Moshe Rabbeinu agreed with him. That in a certain sense, bringing it down to earth is the ultimate purpose of Torah Shabbat. That's what Rabbi Akiva. If Rabbi Akiva was the master, and he more than anybody seems to have mastered the total integration of Torah Shabbat into Torah Shabbat, or more important, the total integration of something which is infinite into something which is finite. It all manifests itself in my banana. You can publish a sefer, you print a sefer, you're taking all this ruchnis and putting it into the world of Gashmis.
Deriving halachas and the tagim. It's like
The tagim. Everything, meaning that it was all about taking the ruchnius and putting it into Gashmis. It was all about fulfilling the major purpose of this world, and it was all about the Roya Pnei Hashem, the Shaar Hanun. The Shaar Hanun, that's the Shaar Hanun. So what Mashallah Nigla le Moshe Rabbeinu Nigla le Rabbi Akiva, meaning very simply, it's a very simple thing. He was able to bring it to a very, very down-to-earth place. So when Arba Nichnasu le Pardes, Rabbi Akiva and his Talmidim, Ben Azai, Ben Zoyma, Acher, Talmidim of Rabbi Akiva was the only one who was nichnas b'shalom v'yatza b'shalom. He was so able to integrate the world of Ruchnius into a simple life. Do you know something? I'll just give you a mashal on this. Like Baruch Hashem Zachisi, I'm not sure why I was eichet to this, must be Schasavis, but Zachisi to have a kesher with Gedolei Hadar, meaning I was able to see and talk and shake hands with Gedolei Hadar. I sat and talked with Rabbi Feinstein, I sat and talked with the Stipler, I sat and talked with, Neocotin, just worked out that way. And I always went to this point of Rabbi Yaacov Kamenetsky, the Satmar Rebbe, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, my Rebbe Rav Scheinberg, had a kesher. They're all different, all very different hagas. Rav Hutner, I spoke to Rav Hutner for a long time. They're all very normal. That's the common denominator. Very normal. Like they're thinking about normal things and worried about normal things and funny. So the Gemara says that Sichas Chulin Shel Talmidei Chacham Tzrichim Limud. What do we want with their Sichas Chulin? They were so integrated, these Gedolim were so integrated into this world, and this is how I know if somebody's a Gadol, because if somebody's like, whoa, like way up there, okay, you're getting there. It's not until it's actually into a very warm place, until there's Midos Tovos, for instance. If a person is too esoteric to have Midos Tovos, to say hello, good morning, please, thank you, Makabel Skaladim Sever Panim Yafais, it's not the real thing, because it's a good thing, but it's not the real thing because you haven't brought it down to a very practical place. So Rabbi Akiva, Nichnas Shalom V'Yatza B'Shalom, he was a Gadol Adar. He brought it to it wasn't something which was difficult for him to see the highest places, the Metatrain, and all the whole place, the whole meditation where he took everyone to try to understand the Chorban. And he couldn't do it. Acher Mekatzetz Benatiyas, as I mentioned last week. He couldn't make there was a disconnect. What does Mekatzetz Benatiyas mean? There was a disconnect, like you're coming with one of those big garden shears, and you're disconnecting. Mekatzetz Benatiyas is a disconnect between what's going on in the yards, what's going on to the Shalom, in the Shamayim. Rabbi Akiva, there was no disconnect. So the Gemara says, I'm going to say it outside because I don't want to take too much time, but one of the themes that go a lot through Reb Tzaddik. Two things. really. Number one is we learned in the end of Shaar Aleph about what tshuva is. Tshuva is very simple. It's the same thing as bracha, but on the other end. Why? Because the way the Nefesh Hachaim explained it to us, tshuva is integrating or lining up or connecting the nefesh, the ruach, the neshama, and the neshama connects to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Remember we learned about this? We spent a lot of time learning about what tshuva is. Nefesh, ruach, neshama. Meaning, again, I'm connecting my most base aspect, my gashmias. Whoa, I lied, I stole from somebody, I did this aver, I did that aver. Realigning ourselves so that the nefesh is once again connected to the ruach, which is then getting the vayipach ba'ap of nishmas chayim, connecting to the pipe, which is connecting to the neshama, and I'm once again connected. The tshuva is like returning. In tshuva, we know, to review something old, that a person does tshuva, may average person does tshuva correctly. So, zdoinos nasik hischuyos. You can get to a point where what you did terribly wrong, bemazed, can become a schus for you. Something which is not mistavra. Okay, erase it, nagid. But to say, like, we're not going to look at your past, but to say that it becomes a mitzvah, zdoinos hischuyos. But the pshat is on a deep level that in Shamayim, somewhere way up there, we have the world of Asiya and the world of Yitzira and the world of Bria and the world of Atzilus, and then more. When you're getting even higher, there is no toiv v'ra. There is no mitzvah, there is no avera. Everything is just Hashem. It's a world that we don't even understand. And it's a world where if you can reach that world, Zdoinos nasik hischuyos, because there's no difference between Zdoinos and schuyos in that world. We learned by Yom Kippur that Itzuma Shel Yom Mechaper. Yom Kippur itself is Mechaper. Why? Because Yom Kippur is for everybody an opening to that particular world, the Yotzer Matnas Chinam, where there is no Ra. There is no Toiv. There's only Toiv, and even Ra has a Makar in Toiv because otherwise it couldn't exist. You can't have anything independent of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So even Ra, even Amalek has some kind of a Makar in Toiv. So that's what Tshuva is, right? We learned that Tshuva, Yom Kippur, they get to a place which is lamala from everything we know about darkness and light and good and bad and good and evil. It's you're in a higher place. The trick is, though, that the tshuva has to manifest itself all the way down to a behavior change in this world. If it doesn't, then there's no tshuva. So you have to be connected on the bottom. That's why I say the top and the bottom. So the bracha is on the bottom, if you can see my imagery here. The bracha is on the bottom. Vayomer Yisrei Baruch Hashem. But the tshuva is, the Yom Kippur is way up on top. So everything is lined up and everything is connected. So Reb Tzaddik HaKohen explains to us this is the pshat that Reb Meir, by the way, was a Talmud of Rabbi Akiva and the Talmud of Acher. Interesting. So Reb Meir, the Gemara says that Lahaya B'dar Kamayhu. Gemara in Chagiga. Nobody in the generation reached the Madrega of Reb Meir. Avalein halacha kamaysei. But we don't paskin like him. It's the Gadol Adar, but we don't hold like him. Why don't we hold like him? If he's the Gadol Adar, let's hold like him. Similar. So the pshat is because Rameir, the Gemara says about Rameir, that when he looked at a sheretz, he picked up a sheretz, the ultimate despicable Tumina Treifazach. Picked up the sheretz, v'haya matara isay b'mem tesdrachim. It was matara the sheretz. Tosfos asked the kasha, the Gemara Chagiga. Tosfos asked the kasha, what's this pilpul shel hevel? Like it's treif. At the end of the day, it's treif, right? I mean, so what's the union of being? I mean, Rebbeir also held it's treif. So what was the point of being Matayar the Sharetz Mem Testrach? And what he was doing is he was showing how there's a tzad of Kedusha even in the worst thing. Everything that Hashem created in this world, he was talking about Shuvah. That everything that Hashem created in this world has its makor and toif, and I can show you even a sheretz. This was his demonstration. This was his teaching method. He would stand up in front of the class, dangle the sheretz in front of all of his talmidim, and say, "This is what we're doing. I'm going to show you how even the sheretz has makor b'toif." It's like Shuvah. Meaning, even a sheretz has makor b'toif. Rebbeir, you're like mamash up there. But ain't halacha k'moisei. What are we going to do with him? It has to be theoretical because you're connecting on the top, but you're not connecting on the bottom. You see, again, I'm saying it in a language maybe too strong, but his wife Bruria went off the derech basov. She ate the sheretz. Like, in other words, it took it. I'm not saying too seriously because it was serious, but took it to labaisa. So she was not beseder basov. She was. That is what happens when one flirts with these concepts of everything is good. So Oisa Talmud Hayel Rameir B'Yavne. You get the history because Rabbi Akiva was 70 years before the Churban. It was 70 years rather after the Churban. But in the meantime was going, his Talmud is Rameir. Talmud Echad Haya L'Rameir. He was B'Yavne. So this was already Bnei Yisrael were Chachamim were sitting in Yavne since the time of Rabbi Yochanan Zakai, where he said Tein Yavne v'Chachamel. They're sitting there in Yavne, and the Talmud of Rameir was holding up a sheretz v'Haya Matayar Oisei B'Kuf Nun Drachim, 150 ways. The Mepharshim say it's 50 times 3, one for the Nefesh, one for the Ruach, one for the Neshama. So Gaval Avoida to be Matayar Shratzim. We should be able to do this a little bit. Matayar Shratzim means that's how Rameir was able to learn from Acher. What did he say? Klipasei Zarakti. That's what he say. I'm finding the toiv in him. There has to be a makar of toiv. If I can find a makar in Acher, I can find a makar in a sheretz, and his Talmidim took it even further. 150 ways to be Matayar sheretz. So that's on the top. It was all a Talmud. Rameir was a Talmud of Rabbi Akiva. Rameir was a Talmud of Acher, which was all about the bottom. But somehow or another, Ein Halacha K'maisei, he couldn't integrate the two pieces, as did Yisrael, I believe. He couldn't integrate the two pieces completely. It was a tzaddik. Right? If you want to have a bracha, so you go to the kever Rameir Balanes. He was a Balhanes. He was able to integrate it. Rabbi Akiva, going back to the subject at hand, what he was able to do was, through his Havana of the Torah Sheba'al Peh, he was able to glow. You see, in other words, Rabbi Akiva was the ultimate in taking the Ruchnius of HaKadosh Baruch Hu and letting it come right down to the Maisa, to the rock, where the water fell on the rock, mamash, as low as you can go, Afer Haaretz, and understanding it from there, and thereby he was able to understand that that's what Chazal mean. He was able to understand that, not only understand Torah better than Moshe Rabbeinu, which the Gemara says, that Moshe Rabbeinu didn't even know what he was talking about. Dorish, as you say, on Kol Kois V'Kois Shabir, on Kutzin Shayud, he was on Dorish Tilei Tilim Shel Halachas. Halachas, listen to what's going on over here. Rabbi Akiva was Isaac in Tilei Tilim Shel Halachas. He took the whole thing and he made it so practical. Moshe Rabbeinu couldn't make it so practical because once you see the sun, Tzaddik says, you're blinded. You can't see it. He was begging for it, he was struggling for it, but he couldn't go into Eretz Yisrael, and he couldn't be Rabbi Akiva. Rabbi Akiva was the one who brought it to a Tilei Tilim Shel Halachas Al Kol Kutzei Shel Yud. Moshe Rabbeinu didn't even know what he's talking about. What are you talking about? So as the master of Torah Sheba'al Peh, he brought it down to earth. So I think that's so what I want to be with Kasher here. 3 things. One is what is a bracha? A bracha, every time we say Baruch Atah Hashem, what we're saying is bring it down to earth. When HaKadosh Baruch Hu asked Yishmael, Kohen Gadol, for a bracha, Yishmael b'ni Barcheni, what he was saying to Rabbi Yishmael, bring my midos into this world. That's a human job. That's our job. If we don't do it, bring ruchnis into everything. Yishmael b'ni Barcheni means make the connection. You're standing there in the Kodesh HaKadoshim. You make the connection between what I am and what you can be. Make the connection. That's the simple shot. Don't give me a bracha, so sein gebencht or No, Baruch Hashem. Do what Yisro did. Do what Yisro did and bring it down to a very practical place. Not just a parsha is called Yisro. The parsha Matan Torah is called Yisro. Bring it down to a practical place. And what Moshe Rabbeinu did, couldn't do, Yisro started to do, and Rabbi Akiva saw more than Moshe Rabbeinu. And that is the Pnei Hashem. What is the Pnei Hashem? When I'm not looking to Panim, the Panim is, the Panim that Moshe Rabbeinu spoke to HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the Panim Shalmalo, the Lashon of the Svarim. The Panim which Rabbi Akiva saw, the Pnei Hashem, which Moshe Rabbeinu couldn't see, is here Lamata. Can I see HaKadosh Baruch Hu and everything around me? Can I break everything in my life spiritual? Or is there some kind of a dichotomy, a disconnect? If there's a disconnect, then it's Makatzitz Minatis. What does it mean? It means that, can you imagine we live in a world that, Tachlis, very practical. We live in a world where everybody, when they look at another person, instead of thinking that they're so smart, seeing the negative side, I'm not naive, I'm not a friar, right? I see everything bad about the other person. Imagine that's good, that's smart. You can't be a fool. But imagine we would see everything good about another person. It would change the din. I just read on Shabbos, and just leave you with this interesting thing because it was sticking in my mind. I wasn't sure how I felt about it. There's a very chashuv yid, Moshe Wolfson, Mashgiach, Torah B'das, I think. So a number of years ago, so you'll probably remember 4 or 5 years ago that there was a kid in Brooklyn that was kidnapped and horribly murdered. Horribly murdered. It was terrible story. But the terrible part about it is that after they went through all the cameras on the stores, it was done by a Jew. Okay, obviously, this was like Jews don't do this. How can this be? Okay, he was mentally deranged, but still, where does such a thing come from? So everybody got up and gave drushes and hespedim about, women don't cover their hair, and therefore properly, and therefore it's because of their tznius that such a thing could happen. All kinds of drushes that went on, every shul, every rav, all kinds of drushes. It all comes because we have smartphones. It all came because, I don't know about you, it left me very empty, what kind of a Ribono Shel Olam, because somebody has a smartphone is going to. But I was just reading. I just happened to come across the hesped or the speech, the Chizik at the Shloshim of this boy. This Rav Moshe Wolfson spoke, and he said that he doesn't see the need to, and that it's a good thing to be mekatrig on Klal Yisrael. He says, but what we should do is focus on the fact that when this boy went missing, a phenomenon of thousands of Jews all night, all day, and all night without stop combed the streets of Brooklyn and Prospect Park and anywhere that you can go, even in the Hudson River, to try to find this kid. Do we find this by the Goyim ever? I don't know. Thousands combed because they have to have a straight line, so they shouldn't mention every single place, every sewer, every place that a kid could fall and hurt themselves. They just, where a kid would wander, they combed for 3 days straight. Combed. People didn't sleep, not just Hatzalah, everybody went out and they took their turn and they did it until they collapsed. Rav Moshe Wolfson said, okay, I don't know why. He says, maybe it has something to do with the internet, because how would a person think about even how to kill somebody like this if he didn't see a crazy thing on the other world? Where do we have a kesher? But what we should be focusing on is look how the Dvar Hashem became so practical in people's lives. Just like they just switched it around and saw the positive. It's like an amazing avodah. Switched it around, saw the positive. Not okay. One Meshugana, loyal but thousands and thousands of good Jews. Like so, imagine we lived in a world where what does it mean to be dan l'kav zchus, where you can take something which is ruchani and actually see like Rameir was Matayar Sheretz. That's how he was trying to bring it down to earth. Ein halacha k'moisa. He was trying to be Matayar Sheretz. His Talmidim did even better than being Matayar Sheretz. The whole Indian of Rabbi Akiva was just a small thing. If you could just see the good everywhere around you. It doesn't mean to be stupid. If something's dangerous, stay away from it. But to be able to, like the way he switched it around and saw the Tov, he said if we could all recognize the Tov, this was his words of chizuk, and continue in that derech, so HaKadosh Baruch Hu will guard us, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will help us. Because what does it mean? It means that he was taking that what's such a heluk azach, right? He was taking something which was completely ruchani, something that we all know about, something that we all learned in school that you're supposed to do, be a nice person, and mamish bringing it, showing how we're bringing it lamaisa. This is the greatest zchus for Klal Yisrael. So I think that's the practical aspect of every time you make a bracha. Every time you say Baruch Hashem, is to show how the ruchnius is here in this world. The okay. Thank you. Garbage can.
So you taught us that when Yitzchak looked at Esau, he saw Rabbi Meir.
Right, the baguette.
But somehow,
Same thing. Tire Sheretz. It's always the nashim that are the more practical ones. They're able to bring it down to. It's only Rivka that was able to see. No. It's got to be real. It's got to be down to.
With Torah Sheretz, we didn't need the Sheretz. He didn't ask him like that, right?
Right.
It's a svara.
Right.
So what means halacha k'moisa?
Hey, halacha.
I mean, what's the halacha k'moisa?
No, he wasn't capable of pasking halachas. He was too up there to paskin halachas. Meaning, if you're gonna bring all of that good into this world and show how even a sheretz is good, you might end up eating the sheretz. If there's a lot of musar to learn from Rameir, but don't.
Is Chazal critical of him for that?
Yeah. In halacha k'mois, Chazal said that you can't possibly like him. But so interesting that just to take it a step further, Rabbi Yehuda Nasi said that his whole godless came that he saw Rameir me'achorov. Me'achorov. It's like just like Moshe Rabbeinu saw Kadosh Baruch Hu. Something to think about. It was the same lashon. Whereas Rameir me'achorov.
Hashem says lo yirani, lo chai.
Irani.
But Chazal say lo hisig Moshe Rabbeinu. So maybe the hasaga has what is hasaga not connected to re'iyah.
Right.
That's how he was able
He couldn't see it in this world because you're a chai. He couldn't bring it.
He was able to skirt the medium of re'iyah and be masagid through a different channel. Yeah.
That's with his heart.
But what I said
Nevuah
I said
was
about a Gilgal of Yisrael, I saw it in Sam Shmuel and the Sefer Shalom.
No, it's a davar you do. I just have to think of how it.
Because it's Kabbanas, which is
Machadish that in.